Beyond Divinity, you are soul-forged with a Death Knight. And basically your main quest is to get rid of that soul force, because he is a very vicious, evil little creature who has his own opinion about everything, who keeps on commenting on your actions, but above all he is a servant of evil and you are a servant of the good. Divinity universe was founded when we introduced Divine Divinity, the first game in the universe. And Divine Divinity was an award-winning role-playing game which was released in 2002. We had so much fans for it and so much people wanting us to continue working in it that we decided to make the Beyond Divinity game, the one which we are talking about today, but also extend that universe into multiple Divinity games which are going to come into the future. Well, the thing that makes Beyond Divinity special is probably the fact that it is a complete RPG. What do I mean with a complete RPG? It means it's an RPG where you have everything which you would expect there to be in an RPG. Not many RPGs like that are made anymore nowadays. If you take Beyond Divinity, you will find your auto-maps, your diaries, plenty of quests, plenty of object interactions, 800 NPCs with whom you can talk, a huge world to discover, plenty of exploration to do, secrets, traps, monsters everywhere you look and where you don't look also, where you don't expect them. Skills by the plenty, character development to the extreme, everything which an RPG should have. Nowadays, unfortunately, you see too much of that is being mixed. You have a bit of an RTS, you have a bit of an RPG, you have a bit of an FPS, and then you have, I don't know, a watered down version of an RPG. This is a complete RPG. We try to increase the immersive effect of the Beyond the Divinity universe by making every interaction which you have in the world have a consequence, if I can say it like that. For instance, if you are going to eat rotten food, what's going to happen? You're going to become poisoned and you're going to start vomiting. If you are going to eat carrots before you go to sleep, you're going to wake up and your eyesight will be increased. Granted, not exactly the most realistic thing in the world, but nonetheless there is an effect of the fact that you have eaten carrots. And like that we've tried to associate actions and consequences to every action which you do inside the game world. Well, if I have to say top 3 of the features of Beyond Divinity, then I would say number 1 is definitely the character development system. The fact that you can create skills in a free manner, I find that very cool. Number 2, I think, is the introduction of the battlefields. I think that's going to revolutionize gameplay style in role-playing games. Battlefields, maybe I have to explain what they are. They are a kind of alternate universe to which you can jump at any time, and they become especially handy when you find yourself confronted with 100 skeletons who are chasing you down and you know that you're going to be overpowered. Third top feature which I would say of Beyond Divinity is actually the Death Knight himself. Yeah? The story which is behind that is very strong. He's a very interesting companion to have. It's not the typical other good guy who belongs in your party. It creates a very big contrast with your aim within the game world. When we had to decide who was going to do the music for Beyond Divinity, without a shadow of a doubt, we thought of Kirill Pokrovsky, who did so successfully the music for Divine Divinity, the first entry in the Divinity universe. He won plenty of awards with it, and still daily we have people begging us to make an audio CD out of the music which he has created. Our long-term goal is to create a RPG engine which is so flexible and so strong that it can generate RPG stories on the fly, which are very convincing and very immersive. Now that will take some time before we get there, and so the Divinity universe is being shaped with that goal in mind. And every step, every entry in the Divinity universe is going to be one step closer. We have the Beyond Divinity, who introduces the battlefields, which is going to give in the very first set in generation. We have a very strong RPG engine, a very strong story engine behind Beyond Divinity, and with Divinity 2 we plan on visualizing that to the extreme, which means we're going to have incredibly good graphics, incredibly good physics. We listened very closely to the fans. If we take Divine Divinity and the game it became, that is purely thanks to our forums. We issued IDs in the forums, we listened to what they said, we took that feedback, we assimilated, we analyzed it, and we put it back in Divine Divinity. Not every time to everybody's liking, but in general close enough to what they wanted. Beyond Divinity, it's the same story. We don't have the time anymore to spend so much time in our forums. We do listen to what's going on there, and there's a very active community who is spilling out IDs, we're testing them, we're trying them out. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work, but we incorporate what they are saying. We are really listening and we do respond to them. And we'll keep on doing that because for us it has worked very successfully. So I don't see why we would change that in the future. Well, I mean, okay, well, if there's one message which really works is when Divine Divinity was released, our development team was completely dead. We had spent 3 years working on it. Nobody could see the word Divine Divinity anymore. And the fact that we are doing Beyond Divinity and continuing the Divinity universe is really because of the feedback which we received by our fans. The mails which we got, the forum messages which were put there, the phone calls we even got, the letters in the mailbox, they really helped us believe that what we were believing in is worthwhile. If we wouldn't have had that, if we would have just had to live with publisher feedback, I don't think we would be continuing with it.